Okay, now, last week you had mentioned that there was indications of a donor coming forward to provide seed money for the assemblies. Is there any update on that?
No, unfortunately, I don't have an update on that. I've been nose down in other things. We are we're engaged in a negotiation regarding property taxes throughout the United States and property ownership throughout the United States.
That should be interesting.
Yeah, so we've been, between the new research and the cause analysis routines that we've been able to apply to historical data, and the issue of property taxes on land that's actually ours.
Right, exactly. And it should not be taxed because we don't need to tax it.
Well, let me do a hat trick.
Oh, good.
Let's do Lofty Ludmilla. Everybody loved that one. Okay. Here we are. Here you are, an American, minding your own business. You've got a hobby farm that you grew up on, and you have a small business in town. You got 2 kids, and you're doing okay. You know, you and your husband are working, and between the business and the farm and everything else, you're pulling down, maybe $250,000 a year. You're comfortable. Life is good.
Yeah.
But somebody steals your identity. Somebody picks up your name somehow. Maybe it's a rat in the church. Or maybe it's somebody in the Rotary Club. Or maybe it's somebody who's working for your local county or a council of governments or some other organization. Okay, maybe it's your heating and repair man who passes along your name. Who knows? In our cases, most of our names were passed along by doctors.
Sure.
Who were, unbeknownst to us, working as undeclared foreign agents because they had been conscripted, unbeknown to us, as uniformed officers. Anyway, most of our names were stolen by doctors when we were born. And our names were passed along to a foreign government. And the foreign government said, oh, what ho! An unclaimed baby, lost on the battlefield. We have no idea where this child came from. We don't know what their political status is. There's really no evidence either way if they're an American born on American soil or a U.S. British territorial citizen who got washed up here somehow. Or maybe they might be an illegitimate child of a municipal slave who ran away and got all the way out to Neillsville, Wisconsin. Okay, they come up with this bull crap, all right, as an excuse for what they're going to do, which is highly illegal. I mean, highly. It's a capital crime to change somebody's nationality, to convert their nationality. And that's what they've done for millions of American babies. They should all be taken out and shot. Okay, but that's what they've done. They've unlawfully converted our nationality and misidentified us deliberately for their own self-interest as British territorial citizens first and foremost, and then as municipal citizens. All right. So anyway, what they do is they take Anna and they name one of their citizens after me.
Mm.
So suddenly they've taken somebody or something, let's just call her Ludmila, and they give her an ID. You like this?
I do. I love it.
There she is. Here's Ludmila. Oh, sure, you know. They give Ludmila my identity, right? And they make her look like me. They give her the same birthday. They give her the same parents. They give her the same birthplace. The only thing different about her is that she has a birth date in addition, which is the file date on the birth certificate, right?
Yep.
They give her an ID that looks just like an American State Department ID. It has just a little bit of difference, a difference that most people would never even notice anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually a corporate ID. It's a for-profit corporation operating as, guess what? The United States of America Incorporated, a Delaware corporation that belongs to the Lithuanian government. Who knew? All right. So they have stolen my identity, created a new version of me who's actually Ludmila. And they've given me a fake ID to make it look like I'm an American, right? They've impersonated me. Okay, well, you know, Ludmila doesn't have a lick of sense. She goes out there and she spends because Anna back there on the farm with her little small business and her 2 kids has got enough money so that Ludmila can have a good time on Saturday night. So she goes out and she spends and spends and spends as much as she possibly can spend, all using Anna's credit. And of course, eventually, as Margaret Thatcher so famously observed, you get to the end of other people's money. And then Ludmila can't spend anymore. And then what happens? Well, the Lithuanian government that sponsored all this crap shows up on my door and says, oh, you owe us all this money. We're going to take your home and your family's ranch that you've had for 5 generations and your small business and your truck and your car and your cat and your dog and everything else you have in payment for the debts that you ran up. But the problem is, it wasn't me who ran them up, it was Ludmila. And they created Ludmila, not me. So what actually happened is that they ran a fraud scheme, a con game, an impersonation scheme on me. They used my credit and my good name for their benefit. They never gave me anything for that imposition. They just basically pulled an identity theft and a credit hack on me. And now they're going to try to propose that they're coming in here and stealing my assets to pay for their theft.
Mm. What a twisted game they play.
Right, it's just nothing but fraud. It's a fraud scheme.
Mm-hmm.
It's an impersonation fraud scheme. And to make it all worse, it's a double-ended impersonation scheme. It's not bad enough that one of these foreign governments impersonated us. Oh no, we had to have 2 foreign governments, 2 foreign subcontractors who both impersonated us.
Mm-hmm. That's what you
So
mean.
there's me.
Double-ended.
And there's Ludmila. And here comes Bessie. You know, we've got Ludmila, the territorial me. And we've got Bessie, the municipal me. And I don't know what the hell's going on. Nobody told me. In Pope Benedict's famous words, nobody told me
Right.
that these imposters were running around, accessing my credit and pretending that they represented me. Yeah, represented me in the sense of an actor representing a character in a book, maybe.
Right.
But anyway, this is what's been going on. And very soon now, Americans from coast to coast are going to be getting the bill for this. And it's nothing but fraud. It's gross fraud and breach of trust against us by our employees. All right. So Americans from coast to coast are now suddenly going to be getting all of these horrendous bills. IRS, franchise taxes, sales taxes, tariffs on all your imported goods that are going to jack the price of everything sky high. Property taxes. Oh, you have a little home, little 1,900 square foot home, little 2-bedroom ranch that isn't big enough to spin on. Well, you're now going to have to pay $4,000 a year in property taxes, plus utilities, plus all the other little regulatory crap that they can lay on you just to live in your own home.
Yeah.
You're going to be paying $800 a month just to live in your own home. And God forbid if you rent, because you're going to have to pay that for whoever is paying the property tax, and then whatever profit that person wants to make off of you as a renter.
Yeah.
You're going to be screwed 6 ways to Sunday if you're a renter. And the property taxes are going to be enough to make your breath suck in. Okay, they're going to do this. They're going to try this. They're going to try to offset their crime with your assets and by taxing you to death and claiming that you are responsible for their spending when they're a foreign government and they did all this fraud. So what are you going to say? What are you going to do? Well, I'll tell you right now that they're going to trump up this huge, huge debt and all these taxes and all these tariffs, and they're going to give you such a deal, Jaime. They're going to say, oh, well, we'll give you debt forgiveness and we'll leave you alone as long as you give us your home. And surrender your identity and you know, give it all to the state. Surrender, surrender. Yeah, right. And you know what I want you all to say? I want you to, you know, pick up your skirt, look them right in their Roman civil law and say, fraud! Hello, I want you to scream fraud so loud you can hear it in Poughkeepsie. And then I want you to proceed to stomp them flat. You're going to have to support your government. You're going to have to support yourself. You're going to have to stand on your own little flat feet, and you're going to have to join with like-minded people throughout this entire country to roll this back and shove it down the throats of these fraud artists. The criminals that are responsible for this. And that means the Queen and the Pope. Both. Because that's where all this is coming from. And that's where all of this crap has come from before. We have seen 3 major conflagrations in this country and around the world because of this same criminality. This is not the first time they've run this staged up thing. They have done this at least 3 times. The Civil War here in America, the American Civil War, World War I, and World War II, all caused by the same shtick.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you want World War IV, forget about 3, that we've already been there. Get busy, support your government, support what we're doing here. It's necessary. It's not, and it's urgent.
Yes.
It's very, very urgent. And you have a responsibility here, not only because, as the book says, you know something's wrong when, but because if you don't take action against it, you become an accomplice to it.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't really have a lot of choice unless you want to be judged as a criminal and for taking part in a crime that you're not even profiting from, a crime against yourself. Then you have to get up off of your couch and you have to self-govern. You absolutely must. And there's no time to waste. And last but not least, my dears, there is one government out here fighting for you, and it's your government. The United States of America, the Federation of States, the real deal, and your state assembly. And this spiritual and mental and emotional battle that's going on has I'm not going to gild any lilies, this is a real battle, but it is real in the sense of there being areas where this is being fought out. And the United States of America is fighting it out internationally, and your state is fighting it out on a state-by-state basis. So it's important for you to wake up and to take part at either one or both of those levels. National, which is your state, that's your nation, and international, with your federation. And your federation, I'm not going to belabor this, folks, but we are on vapors, and the work we're doing has got to go forward. I mean, we've done an awful lot to put a safety net under your butts. We have done it for years to make sure that there were claims in place and there was material in place and there was education in place and means to move forward. We've done everything we can to give people a safety net and an exit out of this situation. We didn't leave you without an answer on that day when you get the $1 million claim against your house from the IRS, okay? So we need your help. This has been an issue forever and ever. We have dedicated huge percentages of our retirement and everything we could earn, and it's not enough. We cannot continue to support this effort without a lot of help from a lot of people. And so I am asking once again, yes, we're doing the begging posture here. Those of you who can, I mean, there are a lot of people out there who can't, but those of you who can, we need help. We need help this week. And the fastest way to get help to us is by donating via PayPal. Our government is fighting for you. We're delivering for you. We're protecting you for a change. We're not off in some corner trying to mess around and empty your pockets, okay? So support the government that is here to protect you. We may not look very fancy, but we do have the right on our side, and we do have the history on our side, and we do have the law, the actual public law on our side, both nationally and internationally. So if you can, send a donation via PayPal. The PayPal address is the same as my email. It's AVANNAVON@gmail.com. We've got some expenses coming up here that must be met. And I don't know how we're going to do it unless everybody who's here tonight reaches out to 10 more people and says, okay, chip in, do what you can, because it's coming down to some very important, what can I even describe them as? Research projects and fights, just plain out and out old-fashioned political and governmental fights. So we need the funding, and I'm hoping that all of those who are hearing this tonight will consider their means, and if they can possibly send a donation, please do so now. We also take checks and money orders, and that's kind of donation through the mail. And that is Anna Maria Reisinger, Reizinger, in care of Box 520994 in Big Lake, Alaska, 99652. And I want to thank everybody who has contributed this month. It's been a very tough month. We've been able to keep our little noses above the water, just barely as usual. but you know, these are projects and things that are just too vital to our position and to our ability to make our claims stick and to actually get obedience out of our public servants. And so I'm hoping and I'm praying that we'll rise to the occasion, and that the urgency of joining your assemblies and of supporting your assemblies, and knowing that you live in a county and not a borough, and not a municipality, and not a district, is coming home to everybody, because this is vital information and Americans need to know it in order to defend themselves and defend their property rights and their kids and their labor, everything. And it has to be done now. It's all coming down now. Those heavy bills, all of those claims of taxation. If I can't figure out a way of putting a permanent stop to it, you're going to be getting those bills beginning in November. We've already seen a first ration. They already tried to do it once. They tried to do it in several states already. But unless we can really put the wooden stake through the heart of the vampire, there are going to be people all over this country standing around looking at each other numb. And they're not going to know what's going on. And they're not going to know what they can do. They're going to be just absolutely left breathless with the false claims in commerce that are coming at them. The amount of money that will be demanded of them, or lose their home, or lose their business or lose their child. These thugs have lost their grasp, and they're coming. They're going to come and make these claims against you, and then they're going to offer you debt forgiveness if you surrender and give everything to them. And in exchange, these criminals will offer you a little bit of nothing in exchange for your freedom, your body, your DNA, your kids, your business, your cats, your dogs, your corn in the fields, your vehicles. They want it all. They want control of it all. And they're going to use this completely bogus debt that they've created in which they owe. They're going to try to foist it off on you. They're going to do this. They're going to try it. They're going to try to do this to your kids, to your mom, to your dad, your grandparents, your brother, your sister, and everybody they can possibly find a name to attach to. And it's up to us to stop it. It's up to us to cry fraud at the top of our lungs. It's up to us to bang our shoes on the table for once. And it's up to us to join together and put an end to it once and for all. One of the comments I made today in an article was that these wars that result from this criminality always harm the victims. Mm-hmm. They don't harm the perpetrators. It's the victims who get shot up the butt. And we have to put an end to this. There's nobody here but us chickens. So this time it's going to be the perpetrators. This time, instead of the corporations sitting in the background, like Ford Motor Company selling Jeeps to the Germans, this time around, it's going to be the corporations taking it in the shorts. This time, it's going to be the corporations that go down. They're the ones that are going to pay the taxes. They're the ones that are going to pay for their sins. And they're the ones that are going to hear it from us. And we're going to take up our position of power as the issuers of their charters, and we're going to start just going, oh, see that? Oh, gee, Facebook? Google? Got the idea, folks? This is where we are. And I want you to know that those taxes that you've been paying, those federal taxes on federal income that most of you never ever got a penny of, a lot of that was foisted off on you by corporations. They didn't pay their taxes. They foisted it off on you by pretending that you were a corporation too. And they spread out the tax debt that way. So when it comes time, don't you even think about it. When you get a bill in your box, or your next door neighbor gets a bill saying, oh, you owe $500,000 and you have to pay up in 30 days, so we're going to take your house. Oh, but there is this debt forgiveness program. If you sign over everything to us forever and ever, we'll forgive you and leave you alone. And we'll even give you this little bit of money that you can depend upon every month that'll pay enough for some oatmeal gruel and maybe a light bill. And I want you all prepared to have your pitchforks ready and to know exactly where all these people live. And I expect you to use everything in your power, your membership in churches, your positions on corporate boards, your offices, everything that you've got to push back. Because you've got to. We all have to. All right, well, I've done my sermon for tonight. I'm sorry. It's a hard situation, and we're up against it, folks, and it's coming down on us like a house of cards. But it's not our house of cards, and it's not our fault. It's not our responsibility. It's their fault. It's their fraud. little old Ludmila doesn't get to charge against us. I'm sorry. And neither does their little municipal pet Bessie. All these things, these other impersonations, these things are not our responsibility. They need to get that message real loud, real clear, in their faces as soon as possible.
Absolutely, Anna. And it sounds like they're bearing down. So we have to stand up and be ready to give it back to them.
And do not spare the priests.
Mm-mm.
Do not spare the priests. You go after those parish priests and you tell them what's going on. And if they need to, you share this recording with them. You share this with your pastors. You share this with your elders. You clue them in to what has actually been going on and who you hold responsible for it.
Good idea. That's a very good idea.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Go after all the community leaders. Buttonhole them. Grab them by the ear. Sidle up to them at the bar and say, "Hey, Joe, what kind of crap have you been trying to pull today?" You know, don't spare them. Wax eloquent. You'd be amazed how much you can get done just by grapevining the information, you know. Word of mouth is still the most effective means of transmitting information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, guys? So I'm telling you what they're going to try to do, unless we can stop them.
Links to Anna's articles and resources can be found in the video description box. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing.